What's going on, guys? Gonna do a little update video of what's been going on with my Bronco. As you can see, it's no longer green. By no means is it a professional paint job or body work, but it's back to one color. The green was just a primer that was starting to peel and chip, so we kind of just fogged it tractor tan. It's listed as gray, but it is not the color that I was intending. That's the color I was intending. You can kind of see, nowhere close. But I like it. It's going to have black accents. The reason I did this is I had some downtime between pulling the motor out and when the motor was going to go back in. Here's the motor. It's a 85 351 out of an F-250 truck. Factory 4-barrel. A little bigger cam. It was bored 40 over previously. I actually just honed the cylinders. They're not perfect, but for what I got going, that's the worst one right there. You can see a mark in it. But for what I'm doing with it, it'll serve a purpose. I did get a new oil pump. I have all new bearings for the bottom end. You can see the old bearings were destroyed. New rod bearings, also destroyed. I'm going to go pick up a new timing set today. All new seals, all new bearings in the bottom end. I got a new crank. The crank that was in it was destroyed. It's always had a little tap. And I finally decided the reason I did it is I went and got a performer intake out of the junkyard and put a fitech on it. Took it for a drive, ran great, but was not happy on the interstate, 2,500, 3,000 RPM consistently. So I said, to hell with it, and we're going to go ahead and rebuild it. If I would have had more time, I got to get this thing up and running before the snow flies. If I would have had more time, I probably would have went with a little bigger cam, some flat top pistons and that kind of thing. But I didn't. I don't need that much horsepower. What I need to do is do gears in the rear end. There's the piston. It's standard 40 over dished pistons. Nothing fancy there. Have all new rings for it. There's the crank. That is actually not my crank. That was given to me by the machine shop. The crank that was in it was 10 under on the rods and 20 under on the mains. So it had been ground before. This motor, when I put it in, I knew it had been rebuilt at some point, but I don't know how long ago that was. Let's see if you can see. Yeah, there's the rod bearings. See if I can get it to focus. Yeah, 10 under. The mains are 20 under. But now it's all going back together standard with that crank, which is kind of nice. Like I said, new oil pump, new mains, new rods. I did not do the cam bearings as they look pretty good. So today we're going to see if we can't get this thing back together, have a rotating assembly in it. I'm porting the heads myself, just freeing up a little bit of flow. You can see I got all my stuff here painted. I got the top outside. It's going to get painted black. I'm going to do all the trim that was chrome, like this. It's going to be all black. The windshield trim is going to be black. At the junkyard, the same Bronco that I pulled that intake off of actually still had all the badges. So I got Bronco and the horse badges that I'm going to get sprayed black, put those on. The door handles are going to get pulled off and painted black as well. I still got one more coat to do on the tailgate. Can't really see it in the video, but it's a little thin. Bumper's going to get sprayed black. I did, and I'm no body guy. As you can see by I'm no painter either. That's going to get sanded down because it's going to bother me. But I actually filled in because the factory lights that go in there were faded, had overspray from the previous owner's paint job. I ended up filling them in with steel plates, grinding the best I could out. And then I'm going to take and do the same thing I did to my Jeep and put those little 3/4 inch LED button lights in for marker lights. I'm also considering that turn signal that sits up front right there with that light in there. Or over here, I'm thinking about doing the same thing there with a few LEDs. As you can see, that housing's broke, but I can just put a plate in there, cut a plate to fit it, and put a few LEDs in there as my turn signals on the front. I also radiused the rear wheel wells just to that body line, cut the inner fenders out. I did not do anything to the front. The rear, I had a bad issue, as you can see on the tire, where it would grind on the body when you fully bottom it, but we fixed that now. I'm going to end up moving that exhaust forward a little bit. I don't know if I've ever done a video on that, but right there's where it comes through. It goes up above the frame rail and goes in between the body and the frame, tucks it up. Nothing to get smashed, plus dumping it out right here, you can drive it down the road with the top on and the back window down and you get no exhaust smell dumping it out the side like that. So I just replaced the leafs. Out of those are from a 94 Bronco. My driver's side leaf was cracked right over the axle. It was in 2 pieces. So those got done just a couple weeks ago. As you can see, it was originally blue. These are the seats I have in it. I gotta wire up the electric still and fix this one's pad, but those are out of a 2014 Ford Flex. I made the brackets myself. This one sits like 1.5 inches higher than the other side because I left the flip forward bracket in, and so I built off of that. They are heated. That's the heat switch. That's the rear console out of a Ford Flex. I think I paid $35 for the whole thing. Something like that. At the junkyard, I got to reinforce the floor on the other side because the floor is starting to rust. I got to put some patch pans in. But you can see not too bad, but I want to stiffen that up a little bit for what this thing goes through. I got switches, momentary double pull, double throw switches for running the seat forward and back. My stepdaughter likes to drive, and it's fine for me, but that distance there is no bueno. So that's what we're doing. I've got my fitech. I got to run the wires through the firewall still. But that's what we got going on. Once this is all back together, we'll move on to Dana 60s under that. That's been on my list now for 2 months. Between baling hay and working 50 hours a week, I haven't really had much chance to do anything with it. But anyway, that's all we got.